The former Hollywood film producer Harvey Weinstein has had one of his convictions for rape overturned by New York's highest court on the basis that he did not receive a fair trial. It's ordered a new hearing. Weinstein will remain in prison for a separate conviction for rape. Emma Vardy begins our coverage.
When one of the most powerful men in Hollywood was charged with rape, it led to an outpouring over a culture of sexual assault and misogyny experienced by women around the world. A number of actresses came forward accusing Harvey Weinstein of forcing them into sex, saying they'd been afraid to speak out because of his ability to make or break careers. But now the rape conviction against Harvey Weinstein that sparked the so-called Me Too movement has been overturned in a shock outcome in New York. The Court of Appeals said prosecutors had called witnesses whose accusations were not part of the charges against him. That meant, it said, he was unfairly tried for past behaviour. Harvey Weinstein was also convicted of rape in a separate case here in LA. Last year, he was sentenced to 16 years for raping a woman in a Beverly Hills hotel. He will remain in prison while a decision is made in New York over whether to retry him. Harvey Weinstein's lawyer has commended the appeals court, he said, for upholding the principles that a criminal defendant should have in a trial. Harvey Weinstein's accusers have called the decision a major step back in holding those accountable for acts of sexual violence. Emma Vardy, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, in the past half hour, Weinstein's lawyer has been speaking outside the court. Arthur Aidala said that he knew his client had not received a fair trial.
In this courthouse behind us at that trial, the law was not applied fairly to Harvey Weinstein. And what the Court of Appeals, the highest court in the greatest state, in the greatest country, said today is that, yes, no one is above the law, but no one is below the law either. And the case in which it relies upon is called the Molyneux case. It's over 100 years old. And what the Court of Appeals said, you can't throw out 100 years of legal precedent because someone is unpopular.
Well, more than 75 women accused Weinstein of varying degrees of sexual misconduct going back decades. Allegations he denies. Actress Ashley Judd was among the first to speak up. This is what she had to say in the wake of today's outcome.
First and foremost, I want to say that I stand in sisterhood and solidarity with all survivors of male sexual violence. And today is a day, like every day in American women's lives, when male sexual violence has intruded and disrupted our lives. There I am, planning to get my backcountry camping site reservations in Yellowstone National Park, for which I'm very excited. And I get the news from Jodi Kantor of the New York Times that 4 judges at New York's court have voted to overturn Harvey Weinstein's sexual crimes conviction. This is what it's like to be a woman in America, living with male entitlement to our bodies.
So why exactly was this case overturned? I spoke with the former Assistant US Attorney and Professor of Criminal Law at Fordham University, Cheryl Barder.
So it was overturned on 2 bases. So one is that there were these evidentiary rulings that the court made that allowed in testimony from other victims in incidents that were not actually charged in this case. And typically allowing in what we call propensity evidence is not allowed. In other words, we don't want jurors to say to themselves, well, he did it before, he'll do it again, or that he has bad character and therefore he's guilty, because that's not evidence of guilt that someone has bad character, has done bad things in the past. There are certain exceptions to that, and the prosecutor had argued here that they should be allowed to have in this testimony in order to rebut an argument that these were sexual favors that women were giving as part of the sort of casting couch culture. And so the judge did allow this testimony in, but the appeals court said that that was in error.
That was a former US attorney, Cheryl Barder, speaking to me a little earlier.